Good afternoon, fellow citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is a time when we need to rise and speak out against the system. We need to rise and speak out against the system. The bedrock of our democracy is the election. One of the attributes of democracy is periodic election. Monarchy and other forms of government back in the days requires you to have a king that lords it over the people. Democracy is a system of government where power ordinarily belongs to the people. This power resides in the people, exercised by the people through periodic elections. And that is what the Senate, the House of Representatives, the executive, that is what they want to take from us. That is what they have taken from us. We need to take back this power. And the only way to take back this power is through a credible electioneering system. We must fight back to see that the votes of the people count. If we sit back, these guys will continue to ride over us and treat us as slaves. Because democracy gives we the people the opportunity, the authority to decide whom we employ as our president, who governs us as governor, who sits there to represent our interests. And truly, the people who sit there at the national level, the people who sit there at the state level, they have failed us. And when the system fails you, when the social contract is broken, we the people must rise. And that is what we are calling for, the people to rise and demand for the Senate to ensure that Electoral Act is amended to suit the interests of the people. And that is mandatory transmission of results from the polling unit to the IREC server. Mandatory. We know why we are making that demand. It shouldn't read as it is presently, as prescribed by INEC. This is where the mischief is. The presiding officer shall transfer the results, including total number of accredited voters and the results of the ballot, in a manner as prescribed by the commission. INEC will tell us again, there is glitch. Because there is glitch, you have to do manual transfer or manual transmission. And that is where the rigging happens, man. That is where the rigging happens. We've been observing elections since 2007. Yeah, since 2007, I have been observing election. Maybe 2003. And then in this previous election, we saw what happened. After the announcement of results at the polling unit, between the polling unit and the collation, where the people begin to watch again on television, that's where the rigging happens. In Rivers State, you all saw the shenanigan. Result, in fact, Labour Party was doing very well. I'm not here to hold a brief for any political party, but we saw results being changed. I can tell you that while we were observing, because we had the license and authority to move around, right? While we were observing this election, on the streets of Port Harcourt, towards Genesis Cinema, we had followed these three cars from Ajib, right, down to Genesis. They stopped in the middle of the road and started moving the ballot box, started exchanging the ballot box. So they had rigged it, and they are going to present the rigged one, not the one at the polling unit. So the only way to cut off this madness, to cut off this rigging, is for that transmission to be done immediately from the polling units to the server, and believing that INEC will not even go and manipulate their server. But the people must demand for this kind of change. We must demand for, this is the revolution that we're talking about. This is the kind of change that we need. A systemic revolution that will ensure that the votes of the people count. And that is what we are demanding. So, citizens of Nigeria, this is not the time for you to be docile. This is the time for you to come all out and demand. It's time for all of us to go to Abuja. Don't sit back. Because you sit back, the hospitals that you're supposed to be treated, perhaps for a minimal amount of money, is what thieving politicians are putting in their pocket and going abroad to relax on private jets and what have you, building for themselves enterprise that will last for their generation, because they don't love the people, because they don't care about the people. And this is what the book of Proverbs laments, that society picks their worst and the best people are there. So we put thugs in power, we put thieves in power, because it's a system of selection. That's what we had in Rivers State, not election. And that is why we must insist democracy is a government of the people. Of the people means that the government or the people that will emanate as leaders must come from the people. That's a government of the people. A government by the people means that whoever sits in that position has legitimacy because the people elected you there. That is a government by the people. But what we have had so far has been a government by INEC or a government by the judiciary, the judges putting people in power, or a government by politicians who sit and select and rig the election for those they select. That is not democracy, and that is the menace we must fight. Let me tell you, the social contract has been broken, and the people must not keep quiet. The system has breached the social contract. The politicians have breached the social contract. They are not there for us. They are not there. The Senate stands up and they say, on your mandate, we shall stand. No! It should be on the mandate of the people, not on the mandate of a man. We are not running a monarch, we are running a democracy. It should be on the mandate of the people. They have robbed us. They have robbed us, and we must resist it. We must say no. So everybody that is meaningful, every reasonable Nigeria should be going to Abuja. The protest, we don't need the protest. Let us take the protest to Abuja. Let us take it there. If you have resources, please bring. We need it. Everybody that understands what is happening. Because once election is rigged, every other thing is rigged. We cannot say we want this person in power and we get that person. No, that's not what democracy is. A government of the people, by the people. That means the people decides who should be there. The Constitution says sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom government derives its power. That's section 14 of the Constitution. Sovereignty belongs to the people. Government derives its power from the people. So anybody that is not standing on the mandate of the people should fall. That mandate is not a mandate. It should be on the mandate of the people. So the Senate president and any people should vote against him, because it's not standing on the mandate of the people. And any person that has made that song, don't vote for that person. Because in a democracy, it should be to please the people, the taxpayers, and not the oligarchs. A government of the people, by the people, and for the people. I'll rest my case here. It should be a government for the people. For the people. Which means whoever goes in to sit there should be thinking, what is good for the people of Nigeria? the welfare of the people of Nigeria, the security of the people of Nigeria. If the person is not doing that, then the person must be asked to go. I mean, the office of the president, governor, it has terms and reference. It has what you should do there. The Constitution has said, government as a whole, you have a responsibility, primary responsibility to ensure the security and welfare of the people. Now, people are lamenting from the United States of America that Nigerians are dying, which means the government in place has failed in its responsibility to ensure the security of the people. Vote them out. Yes, the people are dying. Have they assured your welfare? Do you have better power supply? Do you have better water supply? Do you have reasonable, modest price for food? And because they allow the herdsmen, farmers clash to fester, the farmers are afraid to go to farm. Because you can't secure the people, you have failed as a government. But let's not miss the point of this advocacy. It's about the amendment of the Electoral Act. That mischievous section gives INEC the power to determine how the results are transmitted as prescribed by INEC. That's where they did us bad. The transmission should be mandatory. And any polling unit where the result is not transmitted, a rerun election should be done there. Any polling unit where the result is not transmitted, then a rerun should be done there. Yes. That's the only way we can get it. The next fight will be to ensure the integrity of the server, that it is not manipulated. And that is why real time means that as it's transmitted, Nigerians should be seeing it. Don't rob us. Don't rob us. There are other sections that we may talk about because the balance of evidence needed to show that the president or the election was irregular, the demand of that evidence is so much. It is way so much. It talks about substantial, you must show substantial non-compliance. That weight is too much. Which means, for instance, we have 170-something thousand polling units. So you have to show that in about 80,000 polling units, there was substantial non-compliance. How can you do that? How can you do that? It's a lot of work to do. Why don't we, substitute that substantial non-compliance to reasonable non-compliance? Be able to show that there is reasonable non-compliance. There was violence in the area. There was rig and all of that. But for the purpose of this interview, we are focusing on the amendment of Section 60, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act. So people of Nigeria, let us move. Let us take this demand to Senate. Please, come out. Only an active citizenry can demand for its democratic dividends. And that's what I'm calling for. Let us wake up. The social contract has been breached. The people must wake up and demand for the benefits of democracy. And periodic election, free and fair election, is critical to the success of democracy. We've decided to run this system of government. Let us not run a monarchy or a selectocracy. They have been selecting leaders. Or an oligarchy, where a few people just decide who sits in power. Let us wake up. People's power. We have to make demands. Let us wake up. This is the opportunity to fight. Let us wake up. EndSARS was an opportunity, but it shot the people. Terrible. But we must continue to make demands. Like Martin Luther, change came. In our own time, we must make demands. Thank you, and God bless you.